Getting set up here, and we're gonna do one of those live stream Ask Me Anythings, and we're gonna talk about some interesting stuff that's been going on in the world, whatever it is, ranging from AMG shutting down their Discord to Etsy. There's a lot of talk in Discords today about Etsy shutting down 3D printers and things like that, which is a little bit of an exaggeration at first, but there's a little more to it. So we can talk about all kinds of stuff. I like the idea of talking about 3D printed ships because I've got some that I still have to paint. I've got some that I have painted. I've got some that I've had for a long time, like this old Bellator from Shapeways. It's funny how the tremendous difference between them also. 3D printing and Etsy and the aftermarket community is awesome, and it's one of those things that helps Xwing and Armada continue to exist, and that's a very cool thing. I'm sure I'll talk about this more, but I'm putting together like a list of places for people to get started for Star Wars Armada, starting there. Where you can get stuff, different shops, different places where you can pick up ships and tools and dials and stuff like that. I know some other groups have done things like that. The Legacy guys have put together a huge resource page over at Armada, the Armada community site that they're building. And I wanted to do something like that also. I've worked with them a little bit, and we're cooperating and being very nice and everything with each other, and which is cool. But yeah, they have a great site. So I'm linking to, external resource pages too. So I'm putting this whole page together. And hopefully that'll be a guide for Armada players moving forward. So that's a fun thing. How are you guys all doing? JJ, what's going on, JJ? I said, personally, I'm glad communities for Xwing help keeping the game going with new content. And there are people that print out components for new players. Absolutely. I have this kind of weird thing with Xwing and how it's going. So let's talk about that a little bit. So first off, yes, it is great that the communities are keeping the game going. Xwing, I think, got put in a really weird spot by Atomic Mass Games, and that they made this huge controversial rules change, and that's kind of split. I mean, I think the community was already a little split because there's still a lot of people that play 1.0. Not that many. When I say a lot of people, I mean, I don't mean like it's like super ultra massive, but what in the world? But there's groups of people that still play 1.0, and I see it a lot in my comments when people talk about it, and they, say that. I don't think they're doing like organized play for 1.0, but there's still people playing it. It's not an insignificant number, right? It's kind of equivalent to how when you look at a game and you see like the tournament players and the OP people being very vocal and active online, there's a much larger, kind of like the iceberg underneath the water that you don't see, and that's all the kitchen table players and the homebrew players and the casual players and the the families that play together and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people that are, because the fact that you can still sometimes find like old Xwing 1.0 products in stores, like those Force Awakens starter kits, are still out there somewhere. So yeah, people can still buy that product, read the rules in the box, and play. So there's a lot of people doing that. But then when 2.0 came out, there was a huge split. But eventually, 2.0 became the lay of the land. And then when AMG did their Xwing 2.5, it was this, I think, a much bigger divide, because 2.0, while it changed the game a little bit, it wasn't like a complete it was an overhaul as far as like the look and the feel that required the conversion kits, but I don't think they changed the game into like a different game. And I think 2.5 was so significant, it changed the game into something I felt like a different game. I don't know. It's like the way the list building was like, totally different. There was a lot. I think 2.5 was a bigger change than 2.0 was over 1.0. I think so. Definitely heated. And definitely wasn't delivered to the community very well either. I think that added to it, from the drama and the anger that Will Schick had in that live stream when they unveiled the rules, and he was almost like yelling at the people and stuff like that. So it wasn't a good rollout for 2.5. Probably could have been done better, So because of that, though, you have the two competing X-Wing communities. You got X-Wing Alliance and then X-Wing Legacy, right? And like I'm more in the Legacy camp. Like I like that 2.0. I like the 200 point. I like to be able to put upgrades on my ships or not put upgrades on my ships. I like that. Objectives. See, all right. So here's the thing, and that's something that people are divided on. I have opinions on that. I can understand that maybe objectives have made the game better for some people. But consider this, as somebody who only plays X-Wing once in a while, I don't like the objectives. I won't say I hate them, but I very very much don't ever want to have anything to do with the objectives outside of like once in a blue moon. And here's why. When you play lots of different games, and I play a decent number of different games, when I fall back to a game like X-Wing, I want to fall back to that rule set that I remember. I know the basic experience. Like I want to always be able to pull up like 2 B-Wings and 2 X-Wings, and I know how to fly those. Like the B-Wings are going to kind of go a little bit hang behind, go a little bit slower. The X-Wings are going to try and flank around or something like that. Stuff like that. I have kind of a certain strategy, certain rule sets and things that are cemented in the back of my brain because I've played 1.0 for so many years, and I think a lot of that mentality still holds true for 2.0, even though some things were changed, and there were some good things in the 2.0 changes. And to be fair, there was probably a handful of good things in the 2.5 changes. I can't think of any right now, but I think some people do like the objectives. So that's at least a positive for some. Road is probably a positive for some too, though, after DICE. There's some, but again, people are divided over those things. So I like the idea of when I'm going to play X-Wing, I want to go back to that familiar experience. It's like if somebody asked you to play Monopoly. Maybe a bad example, let's say chess. Let's say somebody asked you to play chess. Maybe you're not playing chess every week. Maybe you don't play chess even every month. But once in a while, you sit down to play chess. And you fall back into certain things that you've learned and you remember. I like X-Wing from that perspective because to me, it's like that old, comfortable game that I've known for a large portion of my life. Gosh, it's weird to say that now. Chess 2.0, bishops can fire torpedoes. Exactly, right? So imagine if you went to go back and play chess and they're like, oh, yeah, well, now it's normal chess, right? Like I can still win if I get you in checkmate, but I can also win if I can take your bishop. And also if I can, have a pawn behind your rook, that also counts as a win. And it's like, whoa, the strategy is completely different. This is not the experience that I had loaded up in my RAM. Like if my brain were a computer, I didn't load this program. I don't know. I don't even speak this language anymore. So to me, that's why I don't like the objectives. Now, I understand that Fantasy Flight games in 1.0 always had objectives. They weren't in every expansion, but they were always there as an option. I remember like the Lambda shuttle came with like a special kind of delivery kind of, secure this, get somebody, like some kind of objective scenario that was unique to that. Things like that. It was like they've always done things like that. And I think those were nice for options. I played some of them. I played some custom scenarios as well. Like when I played X-Wing and I played only X-Wing for first couple of years of me doing like my channel and getting into gaming, X-Wing was my main game and I played it a lot. And like every year on Super Bowl Sunday, at our local Sci-Fi City, Troy would set up a big X-Wing, scenario, a super over the top setting, and we'd have like 10 people on each side, and we'd play out a Death Star battle or an Escape from Hoth scenario or something like that. So having missions is a fun option. What I don't like about 2.5 is they made that the way. Like there wasn't a dogfight anymore. Like every game, if you went to play in a tournament, you went to play in a league or whatever, you were playing an objective. Like you must play an objective. And even the one that was like closest to a dogfight wasn't really a dogfight because you had to be in the center of the battlefield, which again sometimes you play on the outskirts and you fly wherever you want. So it says you can't fly wherever you want anymore. So again, they just totally changed the program. So for me, it's a different game. Now I think if you play Xwing a lot or even exclusively, I would say, then maybe those objectives feel like new life into the game. And I can understand that. But there's a lot of people that want the familiar experience as well. And I feel like that's the same kind of principle that guides me towards Armada, and liking the slow release schedule that Armada's been getting. It's like not a whole lot of stuff. We weren't getting many updates, and I started to become more and more comfortable with that. And so that's one of the reasons why I kind of am not really leaning into the whole homebrew thing right now, because there's a lot of people that want updates much faster and they want a rapid release. Like we want new things every 6 months. And I'm like, no, how about something new every 2 or 3 years? Like that's, kind of what I'm used to at this point. So that's, because I like having that familiar, like this is the game I know. And there's still a whole lot of stuff, even in Xwing and Armada both, there's still tons of stuff that I haven't flown or haven't flown more than once. I mean, I've got expansions that I've never flown, like the Z95. I don't think I ever flew those, stuff like that. What is going on, everybody? We're chatting. We're chatting about Xwing, Armada, the future of these games, whatever else you want to talk about. You can talk about Legion. We can talk about board games. Talk about Steel Rift, which we've got cool mechs for. They're just right behind me. Some of these are primed and not painted yet, so I've got a lot of painting to do for all these Steel Rift. By the way, one thing that's really cool about Steel Rift is that you've got mechs and you also got like little dudes. Like this is four men on a base. Like, isn't that cool? Right? Wouldn't it be cool if Star Wars had done that? You guys want to know something about Xwing? I mean, any Xwing players out there? Apparently, FFG people had told me this, that Fantasy Flight was working on a Xwing ground game. I don't have a whole lot of details, but I've always thought that would have been perfect. I think back in the day, I used to advocate for that a lot. Ever since in Star Wars Rebels, when I saw the Gazanti in that, I think it was like season 2 of Rebels or something like that, where like the Gazanti dropped off 2 AT-ATs on the planet with the clones and stuff like that. And I'm like, whoa, Gazantis can carry 2 AT-ATs. We have Gazantis. I carry 2 TIE fighters. So if an AT-AT would just be about, the base size of 2 TIE fighters separated by a space, so a little bit bigger than that, like maybe just a little bit bigger than a large ship base, as far as length, like, oh man, like that could work. That's a good scale. So Xwing is like the perfect scale for a ground game. And so, yeah, they have turret rules, right? So this is something that FFG was working on. I imagine, from what I understand, it would not have been like, stuff for standard tournament play. It would have been like an alternate mode, kind of like how they had Epic, how FFG had like that cinematic mode. So, if we go back to 1.0 time frame, when you were wanting to run huge ships, you had to run Epic. It was not something you could run in a standard game, things like that. I think that's ended up kind of being the rules. I know when they went to 2.0, they said like, look, huge ships will be able to run in a regular like 3x3 format, but they wouldn't be tournament legal. So you could run them in a casual kind of game, or maybe a league that allows that, or a special tournament that allows huge ships and stuff like that. But you wouldn't have to run the 6x3 format for them. Okay. But so similar to that, it would have been like, I think, an alternate format. The cool thing about a ground game is that, you could still use everything in the game, theoretically. Like, you could still run X-Wings, and you can have Y-Wings do bombing runs and things like that. Both Armada and X-Wing are out of print. Yes, they are. So apparently, like, AMG lost the license to be able to make pre-painted miniatures games. I didn't realize for a long time that there were separate licenses. So there's like a miniatures license, then there's a pre-painted miniatures license. They've had some issues with Lucasfilm. They've had actually a lot of issues with Lucasfilm. One of them had stuff to do with the fact that I guess they were supposed to be making a certain number of products each year to kind of meet the agreements of that license. And I don't know. I don't think they made enough stuff, at least for Xwing. For Armada, they didn't make anything, so they were in some trouble with Lucasfilm. I don't know if that's what led to them losing the license, or if it was more of a mutual thing. But it was clear they never had any intentions of making Armada stuff. They never even tried, you know. But yeah, so that all is out of print, and it was weird because like they shut it down instantly. I'll tell you what else is weird. The speed at which they shut it down, liquidated it, removed everything from the website was like the Flash running through trying to reverse time. It was light speed. And it was no accident. It wasn't like a casual, like, oh, we think this is a complete game. No. Imperial Assault is still in print. Like, you can still buy Imperial Assault stuff. Maybe not every expansion, but like you can still like it's still listed on the website. Like you can still pages for it and stuff like that. You know, like a lot of old games that are complete games or that aren't in, you know, development anymore, like still have a presence. But like Armada and Xwing were like deliberately wiped, and apparently that was because of it being a like a separate license for pre-painted Star Wars, which is a interesting thing because they're you know supposed to renegotiate the next 3 years of their license, and that's supposed to all come to, you know, whatever at the end of this year. So they're probably working on it right now, you know, like submitting a proposal and bidding for a contract and things like that, or a license. It'd be really interesting if Lucasfilm awards a pre-painted miniatures license for Star Wars to somebody else. Like, what about WizKids and how beautiful their Star Trek Into the Unknown stuff is? What if they were to be able to do a Star Wars, and they could basically redo Star Wars Armada? I mean, they've got like a lot of the team who made Xwing and Armada over there working with WizKids right now. It would not be hard. Or what if Renegade ended up getting a license like this, and then did what they did with the new the game that they have, where they're doing both unpainted models and pre-painted. Yeah, and you kind of have the choice if you want to save money or not. You can get the unpainted version. And that's brilliant. Give people agency over how much money they want to spend, and if they want to paint the stuff or not. That sounds really fun. I love the idea of painting spaceships, because like big spaceships like this are really, really easy to do if you've got an airbrush. You just, you know, spray on some gray, dry brush with some white, and you're done. You know, and then you can spray on some blue in the engines, and then you're double done. You know, I mean, you're not really. There's more to it than that, and you can upscale it as much as you want from thereafter. But it's a fun process. So yeah, so all that stuff is interesting. Now, right now, let me talk about the Etsy. I have a question for you guys. You got to have a wash. Well, you don't always. And what I mean by that is, if you go with a dark enough gray as your base, and then you kind of angle like a lighter gray, especially if you dry brush white, that's another way. You don't have to put a wash in there. You can, you know, there's different techniques. A wash is very common though. Will I do a paint stream for Armada minis? Yeah, probably. I've done a video where I painted this one. This was in one of those Etsy shops. This was from Memnock Manufacturing. And so some of these other ships are also that I have not painted yet. But yeah, like I think this guy might have had a wash. I think I did a pin wash on this one. I got to look at it real close. Where that's where you get a fine brush and you just delicately try to hit each individual line. The problem is if you just slop the wash on there and let it fall into the recesses over something that flat, you get certain parts where the wash just like starts to pool, or pools just for a little bit, and they call it coffee stains, where it just doesn't look right. And so the timing becomes very critical, and it becomes more and more difficult. You have to thin it out a lot. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. But it's not the easiest thing to get even clear coverage with a wash like that on a big flat Star Destroyer. Works much better on curved surfaces, and so like Rebel ships in MC-80s can probably handle that stuff a lot easier than a big flat Star Destroyer can. So let's talk about Etsy shops. So there's Etsy put out a new policy And this one's interesting because it deals with homemade stuff, like changing, like making sure that people are creating content according to their stuff. And I've seen some Armada folks saying like, look, I imagine Xwing folks are probably a little worried about the same thing. And it says like, hey, they're going to shut down our shops because they don't want pre-assembled or 3D printed stuff. And so I was looking over it, and a couple of other people have looked over it, and it doesn't really look like that's what it's actually saying. So it looks like what Etsy's new policy is basically saying is they're reserving rights to possibly be able to shut you down. But like if you're like, an example they give is if they showed a Star Wars item that was like not approved, and it was a Lego of R2D2 that basically you just bought the Lego and you assembled it, and then you're trying to resell it. So they're trying to get rid of people who are reselling. I think they're trying to get rid of piracy. And I think they're also going for stuff, if you didn't create the STL file, you can 3D print stuff and sell it if it's your own creation. So I think if you have gone ahead and designed an STL file and then you're selling it, I think you're good. If you are just printing out stuff that's available for free on Thingiverse, that's probably where you'll get shut down. So for shops that are selling Xwing and Armada components, this is where I think that people need to worry about is if you are selling stuff that that's available for free, or it's available elsewhere, or maybe you purchased something and then that was supposed to be for personal use only, and then you're printing out 100 of them and selling them on Etsy, that's where you're probably at risk of getting shut down. This also does give them legal grounds. If Lucasfilm were to say, hey, maybe you designed your own Star Destroyer and you're selling it on Etsy, Lucasfilm can still come in and say, hey, that's not your IP. We own Star Destroyers. You didn't create that. You can make a generic spaceship if you want. You can invent your own spaceship. So that's an option. I don't expect Lucasfilm to actually do that. They don't usually come after smaller creators. I had a t-shirt shop for a long time. As a matter of fact, I had made this shirt. The X-Wing, up, up, down, down, left, right, B-Wing, A-Wing, start, right? I made that shirt on one of my t-shirt shops a long time ago. It never got taken down. I did, but some people noticed, like when trying to work with Asmodee, they wanted me to like take down my knockoff Star Wars stuff. So the merch that I have now, like down below, is like Crabbok merchandise. So it's original merchandising. I'm not trying to like IP infringe anymore, or even come close to it, because like a lot of my designs were stuff that in my mind, it was like, well, these are I didn't steal these from anybody. Like, as a matter of fact, all of the ships in this shirt are photographs I took of my own minis. So I'm like, this is my own photography that I've arranged them out as my own design of my own physical toys. I photographed my own stuff and put it on a shirt. But due to legalese and stuff like that, it's still, it still falls in that area where it's, but I don't own X-Wings. I don't own Star Wars, so I can't sell something that's clearly Star Wars. So that's where it comes into. However, I was never attacked by Lucasfilm over it. It was more of a heads up, like, hey, if you want to work with us, that's an inhibitor to it. You can't have this stuff up, even though you haven't been big enough that, and I didn't sell many shirts anyway. I sold a few. Some of you, I've run into some of you guys wearing my shirts though. So I've got, so I've got different shirts now. But yeah, so that's how all of that stuff works. I imagine it's going to be very similar with Armada and X-Wing. So what I think is, if you're an Etsy store and you've got Star Wars ships, even if you've designed the model yourself, you'll probably be okay. Then that's fine. But what you are at risk of is not being able to have like a professional relationship with, like, if you wanted to also be a podcaster and have somebody from Asmodee come onto your podcast and talk to you. They probably won't, because you're selling stuff like that, right? So that hurts some of your avenues. Now, if that's not what you're trying to do and you're okay with doing it, that's fine. Etsy could shut you down if Lucasfilm asked them to. I think you're more at risk of doing this if you're doing certain other IPs. I know Paramount is really bad at doing Star Trek stuff. So I remember one time I did, and I talked about this in Discord, I did a Star Trek trailer reaction video for Picard. And I was like, well, let's watch the trailer and then talk about it and blah blah blah. And Paramount or CBS or whoever it was at at the time, like basically shut down the video so fast, not just like demonetized it, but like banned the video. Like I couldn't even rewatch my own video. It was like I think it was erased. Or so, but so I got a nasty gram and all this other stuff. So Lego is another one. So definitely, if you're 3D printing, if you're doing any stuff with Lego, you probably very much at risk of getting shut down very fast. And there's a lot of Lego shops out there. So you just have to be very careful. But like I did a video of like a Lego. Hey, there's this new images coming out from this Millennium Falcon from maybe it was from Solo that showed the new thing. It turns out it was like a leaked image that wasn't supposed to be out first. This was the worst I've ever got. I actually got a copyright strike. It's one of those things that can get you like banned from YouTube if you get too many of those. And so I was just like, holy crap! Like Lego hit me hard for that. And it took months for that to kind of like go off of my. I think it took 6 months or something if memory serves. It was a long time ago, but so yeah, I don't usually mess around with that type of stuff anymore. Because you never know when somebody's and it's weird because like certain YouTubers can just like can play the trailer and then talk about it, and it's like I don't know if they got special permissions from Lucasfilm or if YouTube just like says, oh no, you're not going to get anything, you're not going to get any strikes because you have 1 million subscribers or whatever. So it's one of those really weird situations. I know I've missed a lot of questions. I'm going to get back to some of these. Let's see. Bob says one good way to wash something like that is to use an oil wash, and then you've gone over it with a rag and spirits. I have seen, yeah, there's people that have done stuff like that. I've heard of stuff like that. A friend of mine did use oils on a dragon, and it came out really, really good. It's not a bad option. I don't know if it's the best for super flat surfaces though, but it is an option. It is an option. What else do we got here? Here we go. All right. Let's see. Stargate is overzealous, but only for pyramid ships. Oh, yeah. I've never messed with Stargate, so I don't know too much about that. The Music Nerd says, what's your favorite Armada or Legion? Armada is long been, but Legion is currently supported. I'm looking to get back into Legion. I think I'm going to be playing in the Legion tournament, the GT at Crucible Con here in Orlando. QuestCon. Used to be Crucible. We still call it Crucible for short. So that's, I think, in September of this year. So a couple months, not too far away. So that's going to be one. They're doing a painting competition, and they're doing tournaments and Warhammer and Legion. And I want to say MCP and Shatterpoint also, but yeah. So I'm hopefully going to be playing some Legion there. That's the plan. I always say hopefully because you never know when something's going to come up and you get pulled away, or I've got a job right now that can like say, oh, you need to go to California for a week. You need to leave today. Stuff like that can always happen. So I'm hoping it doesn't. Let's see. Atomic Murph says if you want some really crisp armor with the gray recesses on white armor like clones or stormtroopers, use Soulblight Gray to add some lighter shading. Also doesn't stain the armor as much. Yeah, I've used some stuff similar. I've used like Apothecary White. Kind of goes all over the thing and makes the white look a little more natural. I was testing an Army Painter one. I'm working on some ARC Troopers right now. I used an Army Painter version. I'll show you one. Let's see. Like these were done in white, but then I've gone over them with just the that kind of whitish speed paint. I don't know. I'm still going to go back over with them. I ended up, to try to get better, I bought a pair of these, and I know a lot of you painters have them, but I'm going to show you these are going to look really, really terrible. I bought a pair of these things right here, so that's why I can like paint. Gosh, look how big my eyes look. This is a really weird look for me. That's a weird look. Don't screenshot this. Anyway, But yeah, so like having that magnifying glass right there, like wearing it it's great for doing eyes and doing faces. Oh, for doing Ahsoka, I've been working on my Ahsokas. Ahsoka, she's not done, and it's not my finest work, but I've been working on Ahsoka, trying to get her face tattoos and her, she's got so many super intricate detail things, right, all on the head and the face, and she's my least favorite miniature to paint out of every miniature I've ever painted. She's at the top of the list of miniatures that I don't ever want to have to paint another one of. But I have two that I'm working on right now. Um, but yeah, for a blooper reel for the yeah. Oh, that's funny stuff. So anyway, I think Etsy stuff is going to be okay. I'm putting together a list. I know I've linked it already. Some of shops for like getting started for Armada. I need to do an updated how to play video. I've had a lot of people ask me, "Hey, I can't get anything." I think Xwing still has some product available, more so than Armada does right now. Um, but yeah, like I'm just trying to put together a list of like links to different Etsy shops and any any storefront that has stuff. So if Etsy does take people down, maybe those people can contact me and I can kind of update the web page. And it's like a free resource. I don't run ads on my website anymore. So like all the homebrew and on articles and things that I have on Crabbok.com, there's no ads there anymore. So you shouldn't see any. I was running ads for a while, and with the hope of it just being a little bit of ads, and hopefully I would just create enough uh, revenue coming in to offset the cost of the domain and hosting the website and stuff like that. And it didn't quite get there. It was almost enough, but the problem was it was so many ads. I mean, and it's not enough. It's like $10-15 a month I'm paying. It's not that much, but um, like I was so many ads. Like even when I would go to my own website, I was like, this is way too many ads. And I was just like, let me just turn them off. Like I tried to make it like very few, and it was still overwhelming. And it would be like right in the middle of like pictures and things like that. And I was just like, I think I'd just do better just to get rid of it altogether. It'd be a better experience. And if I want to make this as a resource for the community, I can maybe just not bog them down with ads all over the place. So I just decided to eat that cost. And that's one of the reasons we have Patreon. So if you're interested in helping support, there's different Patreon tiers out there, and you get your name in the credits, and we'll do giveaways on there some stuff. You screenshotted it. Lovely. Lovely. Yeah. So uh Null Oil and Lamian Medium 50/50. That's a good option. I usually do Null Oil and water. It's not the same. I've used some medium before in it also. Depends on what I'm doing. I tried a lot of different things. Like when you have a lot of stormtroopers, it's a really cool idea to try a lot of different things. Um, but like all of my clones, each unit of my clones, I did something slightly different with. Like one unit that came out okay, but like I covered the whole thing in like straight null oil, and then tried to like wipe some of it off, but they end up being like darker than the rest. And that was okay because it makes each unit of clones look like slightly different. One unit I used Agrax Earthshade instead of null oil, so they have like a little more earthy kind of look to them, a little more yellowy brown, but not too much, and so just do different things from time to time. So that's kind of cool. Um, so yeah. Let's see. I don't know if we have any more questions or anything like that. I don't know. We had AMG's Discord went down. We had a big video for that yesterday. That was a big surprise. And especially how fast they shut it down too. It was like boom. Oh, this is going down first thing in the morning for the next business day. Happened to be Friday and then Monday. But I'm like, man, I thought of something I didn't talk about in that video. How much do you want to bet they're going to announce something very soon? Something that is going to cause controversy. And they're just trying to, and the reason they shut down the Discord so soon was because they know that they're going to get a lot of angry comments there. And they're trying to limit the comments to, what's something else that's weird? They don't do painting streams anymore. When was the last time you saw AMG do an actual painting stream? I wonder if them doing painting streams was part of like the pre-painted license. What if they lost the license to do painting streams as well? I don't know. I would imagine you would need a license for that. I mean, they seem to everything else they do. They're like super worried. Like the fact that their Discord was so heavily moderated, like you could not post like an image. You couldn't post images at all unless they were like official AMG or like official AMG images. Like you couldn't even post a link or an image of a list that you built on a list builder, and so like so much stuff seems like it's like ruled by like a license, like lawyers and stuff like that. I can't imagine that they just willy nilly go and paint without lawyers kind of approving that as well. All right, we got some questions here. Let's see. Atomic Murph, your Discord name is Asmodai. I was curious about that. Is it Asmodai or is it or is it supposed to be Asmodee AI? I wasn't sure if you were a bot when you joined. I did see that. I remember that username. Should you buy a Clone Wars core set and see what faction you like to paint, and then buy one of the new starter boxes? Well, new starter boxes are going to be a little more expensive. Clone Wars core set is cool because you're getting a 2-player starter. Asmodai character from yeah. That's what I thought. It sounded like something. Like a demon name. I'm thinking maybe Asmodeus or something like maybe something from Diablo or something like that I was thinking of, but because I'm not up to speed on 40k lore. I know there's a lot there, and I know very little, only a little bit. I played Space Marine 2 for a little bit, and of course I play Age of Sigmar, so I got some of that. There's a little bit of crossover, but it's a different universe, But yeah, let's see. So I think it depends on if you really want like the best quality clone miniatures. I still think the clones that come in that core set are great miniatures. The B1s are hard plastic. You've got a good Obi-Wan, a good Grievous, a real good Grievous, as a matter of fact. Great Grievous. Asmodan was Diablo. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I knew it was something like that. So I don't think there's a problem with getting, and also the one thing that you'll get that you're not going to get in the other core sets is I think you'll get barricades in the Clone Wars core set. Which, granted, barricades aren't like super important, but it's good to have some because there's some cards that reference barricades, and there's like battle cards that say you can put barricades out, and nobody wants to suggest that you go buy a barricades expansion pack. I don't even think they're remaking those. So the only way that you'd have to be able to do that would be to buy that new terrible wall set that they made. Yeah. Oh, when you're playing Space Marine 2, the guy with the skull mask is a chaplain. Asmodai is one of them. He's the leader of the chaplains for the Dark Angels chapter. Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Cool. But yeah, so I think there's something to be said. Now, I think the Clone Wars core set, I would imagine you could probably get it for under 100, somewhere in there. I don't know how much it's being sold for. But yeah, I think it's a good buy. You're getting stuff now also, so you can start priming and painting and stuff like that. There's also, if you're interested in Clone Wars factions, those aren't the first round of the new starters. The new starters that we're getting Empire and Rebellion first, and those have already been pushed back a little bit. So the Clone Wars stuff might not be out until like the end of the year, or maybe even 2026 if there's more delays. And then by then, there's so much uncertainty. Who knows if tariffs are going to change? The cost could triple, so on and so forth. I mean, it probably won't. I'm not saying the sky is falling, but we've seen some falling skies with things going crazy. 150% tariffs and no 10%. 150, 50, 30, 55. It's crazy. I'm a little animated right now because it affects what I do. It affects this industry massively. So yeah, like CMON is done, right? Like other stores are going out of business, and every time I say this, people are like, it had nothing to do with the tariffs. Of course, it had a lot to do with it. It may not have been only the tariffs, but the tariffs, of course, had a lot to do with it. Even if it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and the camel already had a weak back because of other business decisions, it's still the straw that broke the camel's back. If somebody's got cancer and they're dying, and then you walk up and shoot them, well, you can't say it was the cancer that killed them, So I mean, maybe a bad example. I don't want to talk about that. I'm saying the tariffs obviously have a lot to do with the companies that are closing because of the tariffs. So yeah, and we're seeing it. It's becoming a little bit more normalized now. And we're starting. Like I purchased something just recently that there was just like, hey, there's an extra tariff fee for pre-ordering this item that was going to be coming out this summer. It was Thundercats from WizKids for HeroClix. I'm a big Thundercats fan, if you didn't know. So WizKids has got Thundercats coming out. And so all of those things are going to be coming. Do you think there should be a Star Trek version of Legion? No, I don't. I really can't think of. No, I can't. No, that's just a firm, solid no. Yes, you do see dudes on the ground, but I think you'd be much better off with like a a Star Trek version of something like Imperial Assault or a Star like and there's already a lot of Star Trek games kind of like that, like Star Trek Away Missions from Gale Force 9. This one has Federation and the Borg. You're trying to go on to a ship that's been destroyed at Wolf 359, and you're trying to get some goodies and score victory points before the Borg score. Or, well, you can play as the Borg, or you can play as the Federation. And then there's also Klingons and Romulans and other Star Trek and classic Star. There's a lot of expansions for that. So you already have other games that do Star Trek things with dudes on a map. Legion is like a company-sized battle, doing a field exercise or a small skirmish engagement against another large company-sized battle. And I don't think I've ever seen anything in Star Trek like that. I mean, you saw there was an episode of Deep Space Nine that was kind of like a Legion battle, but the episode was inside a bunker, and you only saw a couple of people come in and get wounded and stuff. And this where Nog got his leg blown off and stuff like that. So, like, the only battle that we ever saw that was kind of like that, we only see little pockets of fighting. We don't ever actually see any large scale fighting. Not to mention, you would only have troopers. Like, you don't have tanks in Star Trek and stuff like that. So there's just really not not anything like that for Star Trek. Now, I would love to see Star Trek Armada. I guess there is another one, and they're all in Deep Space, because Deep Space Nine gave us the war fighting. So if you're going to do wargaming with Star Trek, it kind of has to involve Deep Space Nine. You had the Dominion War. You had the Klingons seize Deep Space Nine. That you could argue that was similar to a Legion-sized battle, although I think it was bigger than Legion. You had probably more people there. Geppetto, because I'm poor, I did Armada miniatures on paper, on a stick, on a bottle's top with a piece of paper for firing arcs. Yeah, you can play flat Armada. If you print out all the bases, you get close to it. If you just had the cardboard, you could totally play flat Armada. You've got the firing arcs printed on the ship thing. If you wanted to make it accurate, you'd get the measurements for how much extra the base sticks out from the cardboard. And you probably need the shield dial spaces also for certain things. But like you could do that. You could just play flat Armada. It wouldn't look as cool. But if you were just trying to like learn the rules and like figure out that gameplay and stuff, yeah, you could do that. That would work. Yeah. If you guys are joining us late, we've been talking about all kinds of stuff. You can go back and rewind and watch some more. Yeah. All right. Let's see. How can we fight if we don't have brightly colored red uniforms indicating which soldiers should be killed? Hello there. I'm hoping for Into the Unknown gets a good discount for Amazon Prime days. Maybe. I do think we're going to be getting some new Star Trek Into the Unknown news pretty soon. Maybe we are in July now, so maybe the end of the month. Maybe this month or next month. I'm hoping. I'm hoping to see those Klingon ships. They did announce a new wharf for Star Trek Into the Unknown. For if you pre-order the Klingon expansion, you get like a foil wharf. Besides more minis, what else should I buy for the core set so I can make it fully playable? Besides more minis, because that's dice. Core set doesn't have enough dice for most situations, so you get an extra dice pack. But I think you're getting dice in any of the starters because you're probably going to want to get the other starters eventually anyway. You're getting new sculpts in those and a lot of extra, just a great value, really great value. So, you could do dice, terrain, a 3x6 play mat, stuff you should consider, sleeves for cards, because you will be printing a lot of printer ink, because you're gonna be I don't print out all the cards. I just print out my list each time I play, because everything changes so often. If I print out the card, if I go, I used to do this when I play tested Legion. I went through the task of designing a whole system that I was going to print out every single card, sleeve every single card, and I had the whole core set. Like, I custom printed everything in the core set because I wasn't in on play testing at the very beginning, because sometimes when you play test, they'll send you like a mock-up. This was before the times of Tabletop Simulator, or before it was widely being used. But they sent, some people got like a mock-up where they could play test that stuff. I was just given like PDFs, and so I printed everything. And then with all the cards, I printed all of them out, sleeved. I didn't sleeve all of them. But I just printed everything out. I think I only sleeved like command cards. And then what happens when you play test is every couple of weeks, you're like, okay, here's the new version. All the cards have changed. And I was not happy. I had spent probably a full week getting everything printed, fighting with Kinkos to try to print out stuff in hard cardstock, and trying to show them proof that I had permission to print these things out, because it had Star Wars stuff on it, and they're like, no, we can't print this for you, it's copyrighted. I'm like, I have permission, but then printing stuff at home, cutting everything out, gluing things together, just mocking up the entire thing, and everything changed. It's a pain in the butt to do all that. So now I don't do everything anymore, because things, and even now, things change all the time. So I just print out what I'm going to play that night, and I print out the list. But you'll need sleeves for your your commander cards and stuff like that. For Armada, they sent the OG players stuff to print and cut out too. Yeah, Armada's, I think, one of the only games I didn't play test at FFG. No, I didn't playtest Imperial Assault either. I playtested Xwing a little bit. A lot of almost all of Legion when it was at FFG. I dropped out, I think one wave before everything went over to Atomic Mass, because it was getting to be too much. There were other playtesters. There was other playtesters that were not happy with me. They didn't like that I was a content creator, and they were trying to remember what they did. Took my website and took something from Imperial Assault, because Imperial Assault had gotten Dark Troopers, and when I did a thing about Dark Troopers, for Imperial Assault, and they're like, he's talking about we were playtesting Dark Troopers for Legion at the time. He's talking about Dark Troopers. Look at this, is from his website. I'm like, that's Imperial Assault. He's trying to get me banned from playtesting and stuff. I was not happy about all of that, but yeah. Star Wars Squadrons later from there's a game I haven't played in a while. I was just looking at that the other day. I started playing the new Dune MMO. Been looking for some, dig up some old PC games and some new ones. New I re-downloaded StarCraft, because this Archon has the StarCraft miniatures game, and they're also doing a StarCraft board game. And I'm really excited about that. I was one of those people who always wanted to get the StarCraft game from Fantasy Flight. Never got it. So it's exciting that maybe I'll have a chance to get a different StarCraft board game and a StarCraft miniatures game from Archon. That one looks cool. They really love StarCraft too, so that's gonna be a fun universe to get involved in. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, we got any more questions? I'm gonna wrap this up here pretty soon. Excited for Archon StarCraft. Me too. It looks really cool. Archon is doing a lot of cool stuff. They also have another game kind of like Armada coming, a Starside. I think it's gonna be a little bit more like a board game than actual Armada. What's going on, Ben? Yeah, but I can't wait to find out more. I was able to talk to Archon at what's your favorite sci-fi? I talk a lot of Star Wars, but I think I like Star Trek a little bit more. But it definitely depends on the mood for different things. You know, like sitting down for rewatching the same stuff, Star Trek. For doing a big epic battle on the ground, Star Wars. For doing a big epic battle in space, Star Trek. But I don't have the option to do that right now, so Star Wars. I know you're a Dragon Ball Z fan. Yes, I am. Have you watched Dragon Ball Z Abridged? I've heard that there was a shorter version of it, but no, I've watched Dragon Ball Z like long and full of Master Roshi saying things that he couldn't say today. You know? So yeah. I heard a rumor that they're going to be doing, and I don't know if this is just fan-based conjecture or if it's leaks from behind, but I think it might just be a little bit more fan-based, like wish listing, that they may be doing a Dragon Ball Z universe's expansion for Magic the Gathering. And so I've seen discussion on it, people saying they won't do this because they already have a Dragon Ball Z card game. And people are countering with, yeah, but so does Final Fantasy, and they just got their own set. They're doing Avatar: The Last Airbender for Magic the Gathering now. People are saying like Magic the Gathering is starting to become like the Fortnite of card games. And you know what? As somebody who does not play very much Magic the Gathering, I am here for it. Just release all the sets in the world. I'll buy the Commander decks. This way I have like a deck or two. Like I bought some of the Doctor Who Commander decks. I bought some of the 40K, the Warhammer Commander decks. Like good, let me just buy like a deck of stuff that I like when it comes out. And this way, I want to play, I can be like, hey, I'm going to play a Dragon Ball Z deck. You know, as long as you're cool with it. And if you want something more, you know, I have some regular Magic cards too, you know, but what's your take on the tabletop RPG industry? I don't get too involved in that, but I do really love Edge's game, which used to be Fantasy Flights, the Star Wars RPG. That and Dungeons and Dragons. Those are the ones that I play, although I'm not in a campaign right now. I've got right here, if you can see on the bottom side of your screen, this corner, I've got a lot of my books. I've got Force and Destiny books for Star Wars. I've got D&D 5th edition books. I don't like the fact that they're like publishing a new edition of D&D. Like I don't know. I'm like one edition's fine. You don't need to make new editions. Don't make me rebuy the same thing I've already got when it's a game that's all about theater of the mind, right? It's about storytelling. You don't need to retell me how to do my own storytelling. Do I like clones or droids more for Legion? I like clones more. I think I play droids more. Although I haven't played Separatists in a while. I'm working on that. I've been painting up these guys. I've been showing them a little bit on social media. The crabs, also doing lava bases for them. So I've got them just about ready. So I have some new Separatists I could be running. But I like the clone models a lot better. I also like the Republic because I can build a Wookiee battle force with the Republic. So I have a Wookiee list that I'm working on also, which I think is going to be real fun. I'm going to probably bring that to QuestCon. That's what I think I'm going to run. I want to run something that's just going to be silly and fun, and this way everybody who's playing can have a good time. I'm not really expecting to win. I just want to have fun. Let's see. You started making your own Star Wars D&D campaign. Yeah, that's a cool thing is that with RPGs, you can do whatever you want. Put a decal of my channel logo and put it on a crab droid. I have done something like that with buildings, where I just printed it on regular printer paper and then used like liquefied glue to make it like a poster and cut it out and put it on stuff. So I can do that. I could get some transfer paper and like print out some stuff. That would be kind of cool. Yeah, it might happen someday. You never know. I'd probably just rather like go with a custom place to do nicer, ones. But yeah, you lost count of all the IP Magic has released. Yeah, they've done a lot. Oh, this soft C guy from Satan Tor. I almost said Catator. Gosh, I can't. Citaton Tor? Is that it? Am I saying that correct? Citaton? Like, como ça va? Let's see. All right. C'est a ton tour. Oh. It's a ton tour. It's a ton, yeah. Ah, all right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, so it's like an abbreviation. It's like slang. That's why I struggled with it, because I'm not a native French speaker. Can you post a screenshot? Yes, please do. Tag me in it. I'll go check it out in a little bit. Yeah. Exactly. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up, folks. We'll talk to you guys later. May the force be with you. Oh, we have a very cool video coming tomorrow for you tabletop fans. Nobody has pointed this out, but there's somewhere on my screen is a brand new box that we're going to be looking at tomorrow. And it is in the world of Halo. Over here, we got something really cool. We're going to be looking at the Rise of the Banished, which is a really cool new big box expansion for Halo. So check out tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to go live. If you want to check out the latest from Halo, this thing doesn't even come out until the end of the month. So we got it way early from Mantic Games. We're going to be showing it to you live and early. I'm showing you some of the cool exclusive stuff that comes in there, because it's exciting. It's very pretty, very pretty. All right, that's gonna do it. I will talk to you guys later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all, and always wash your socks.